Before we begin the meeting this evening, I'd like to welcome all of you here, but a special welcome to a Boy Scout Troop 995, and the troop leader is Don Mutoni, and the Scouts are working on a badge to earn a badge, so I just want to welcome you here this evening. Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton? Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item is the moment of silence to be led by the Board Vice President.
Thank you. As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in any other silent activity. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Diego Ochoa, 5th grade student in Ms. Griffith's classroom at Aspen Creek Elementary.
Please stand. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oklahoma flag. Salute, pledge. I salute the flag of the state of Oklahoma. His symbols of peace unite all people. Good evening. My name is Diego Ochoa. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm a 5th grader at Aspen Creek Elementary. I like the school because it has clubs and activities before and after school, such as robotics, running club, explosive theater, and others. I am in Miss Griffith's class, and my favorite subject is math. Thank you.
So Diego, what do you like to do? You like sports, activities, anything like that?
I like sports. Right now I'm playing soccer, and I just finished baseball.
Okay, that's fantastic. So how is your, so right now you're playing soccer?
Yes.
How's that going for you?
It's good. Right now my team is undefeated.
Oh, then you're pretty good then. All right. Now, are you any type of, I've heard through the grapevine you might be a football fan too.
Yes.
So who's your favorite team?
For NFL, I like the Seattle Seahawks, and for college, I like OSU.
Atta boy. Very
Well,
intelligent.
Diego, I'm going to still let you take a picture with me then. Is it okay if we take a picture with you?
Yep.
All right.
Good choice,
So our
Dave.
quarterback, you're Texas A&M. Okay, you got to introduce your family to me. I think you've got special guests. Who are they? The toughest of all three of those boys. Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is the formal adoption of the agenda.
recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to formally adopt the agenda. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Miss Kelly.
Yes. The next item are the minutes of the September 12th, 2016 regular meeting. If there are any questions or comments, it certainly would entertain those right now.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to adopt the September 12th, 2016 regular meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Abstain.
and Miss Kelly.
Yes. Did we get the voting? Yeah, there you go. Thank you. The next item, under the summary of awards and achievements, we have Mr. Rusty Stecker.
Good evening. I'm excited tonight to recognize Melinda Knight and Steve Dunn for completing all the requirements to earn their CAA Certified Athletic Administrator. I would like for them to join me here at the podium. Our athletic directors, as well as athletic directors across our nation, are members of the National Association, the NIAAA. The National Association serves our directors in many ways. One of those is through a certification program that is based on continuing education, professional growth, and program development in athletic administration. The CAA certification is a lengthy process. This does not happen overnight. It usually takes around 2 years to complete the full program. The coursework consists of 3 areas. First, experience in leading an athletic program. Second, completion of leadership training classes. And third, passing a comprehensive final exam. In the leadership training classes, they cover a variety of topics such as philosophy, leadership and professional development, principles, strategies, and methods of athletic administration, legal issues dealing with risk management, safety of events, and Title IX. I truly feel with the completion of the CAA certification, Ms. Knight and Mr. Dunn are better prepared to serve our school district and our community's athletic directors. I would like to present to them their CAA. Ms. Knight, congratulations. Mr. Dunn, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the recognition of the National Merit Scholars for 2017, Miss Elizabeth Burns.
I was afraid you all might mistake me as a certified athletic administrator, but I don't think there's too much chance of that. Dr. Mendenhall, President Kelly, members of the board, it's my distinct honor tonight to be able to present to you our 5 National Merit semifinalists and commended scholars. Each year, juniors across the nation take the PSAT, which is the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. Those students who score highest among their peers across the nation are recognized in their individual states. And this year, Broken Arrow High School has 5 such students who have earned recognition. So if you all will come up and join me. Let's go ahead with our 3 National Merit semifinalists first, if you would. And if you'll come up and tell your name, tell what it is that you are planning to study in college, where you're thinking about going to college, and if you've got any guests with you tonight, if you'll go ahead and introduce those folks too.
Hi, I'm Jacob Taylor. I brought my parents with me tonight, Jill and Greg, and I also brought my grandparents, Charlotte and Terrell. And I'm planning on going to Harding University in Searcy, Arkansas, and studying biomedical or mechanical engineering. And what was the other thing? Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Hi,
I'm Maya Cruz. I brought my father, Steve Cruz, with me tonight. I'm hoping to go to Virginia Tech to major in mechanical engineering.
It's a little tall for me. I brought my parents tonight, Bo and Suzette Pratt. I'm planning on going to the University of Oklahoma to study chemistry and aviation.
And you already introduced yourself.
Oh, I'm Madeline Pratt.
And we have 2 commended scholars as well.
Hello, my name is Emily Frank. I'm applying to MIT, Columbia, and Vassar. I am looking forward to majoring in astrophysics. And my guests tonight are my parents, Christy and Larry Frank, and my grandparents, Sherry and John Donahue.
It's a little short for me. My name is Chase Gaddis, and I brought that handsome man over there, my father, John Gaddis.
You're just looking to get some more money or something.
I'm sorry. I'm planning to attend the University of Oklahoma next fall and majoring in biochemistry or biology. They sound the same. And then hopefully go to the University of Oklahoma's medical school. And is that it? That's it.
I think Chase's real talent may lie in politics, but I don't want to insult him. I think he probably should aim higher than that. Would you like them to come up here so that perhaps members of the board may want to congratulate?
Why don't we all of us come out from behind the desk and we'll all take a picture together if you guys don't mind.
Fantastic. Come on up, guys. We're very, very proud of them at Broken Arrow High School, and you can see why. So congratulations to these National Merit semifinalists and commended scholars, and to their families. To achieve at this level is really a family affair. So thank you, moms and dads and family members.
The next item on the agenda are the comments from the public. Seeing that we do not have any, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the general consent agenda items. I have not had any item brought forward, so at this time I would entertain a motion on the consent agendas, items 9 through 60.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the general consent agenda items 9 through 60. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
and Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is the high school configuration update. Ms. Shelley Holland-Handy.
As she's moving to the podium, I'd like to just say that first off, last week we had 3 community forums that actually went very, very well. I would say we had approximately 100 to 110 that actually attended those, and really wanted to compliment our staff and others that actually put that together. Really felt like that we got great feedback on kind of where we need to go from here. We also had an opportunity to do a focus group with our high school teachers and staff. We also had about 5, I believe 4 or 5 freshman academy teachers at that meeting, and really got some great information there as well. So just wanted you to know that last week was a very busy week when you're talking about this particular topic, just because we were able to really communicate a lot to our community and our staff and get a lot of great feedback. So wanted to turn it over to Shelley Holland Handy just to kind of give her a chance to kind of walk you through what we've done to this point. We're kind of winding down, even though we'll be bringing a recommendation from the steering committee in May of 2017. So it's just around the corner, and from this point forward, you'll probably hear us giving you an update probably every other board meeting, at least keeping you up to date at this point in time. So, Ms. Holland Handy, I'll turn it over to you.
President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. As Dr. Mendenhall was just sharing with you, we had some great community forums last week. It really gave us a lot of insight into what the concerns of our community are. Our next step is going to be to deploy a community survey, and that will begin this Thursday, October 13th, and it will run through November 1st. And that will also give us some quantitative data that we will be able to bring back to the steering committee to complement what we collected from the forums and the focus group. Dr. Helvey, who's our consultant, is compiling a comprehensive report for the steering committee, which will include all of the data that we're gathering as well as the working group reports and what they presented to the steering committee, so that all of that information will be ready for our next steering committee meeting, which is in the middle of November. And from there, the steering committee will actually begin to discuss and work on recommendation that they will bring to you in the spring. So we're looking forward to presenting all that information and actually getting to work.
Ms. Holland Handy, I would like to thank certainly the leadership team. Our community certainly is very, very important in providing us essential feedback as we move forward on a recommendation. But I would agree with Dr. Mendenhall. It was a very long week, but it was a very rewarding week, and I do appreciate very much the time that everybody contributed. So thank you. The next item on the agenda is the monthly construction report, Mr. Bob Tolomeo.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. I'm here to present the monthly construction report. We have quite a few projects going on. New elementary school, Kirkland Activity Complex, the high school, which will go to you guys for approval tonight, and then Sequoia Middle School. I'm going to focus on Sequoia Middle School, but we'll go through the other ones relatively quickly. Out at Elementary School 15, just kind of a rendering and a picture of what the floor plan will look like, and then some aerials. We have set all the walls for the safe room, the tornado safe room. We have poured the slab for that middle wing pod, if you will, and it will house the media center, the administration, the gymnasium, and the cafeteria. And we are going to pour and set the roof later this month as well. Another rendering of what that looks like. Kirkland Activity Complex. We are currently still doing demo. The equipment broke down, so they're trying to get some replacement parts, and they'll be back at it at the middle of this week. We do have all the buildings down that we're going to demolish, and we're working on foundations and parking lots, and probably another week and a half, 2 weeks left of that.
So all of the things, the slabs and all of that will come out before they leave, is that right?
Yes. The slabs, the foundations, the asphalt that isn't going to be needed for when we turn it into the Kirkland Activity Complex.
Mr. Tolomeo, I have not been by there just recently, probably within the last, I'm going to say a week and a half or so, and I'm making the assumption, but help me out here, there is a picture out there or something for our public as they go by to kind of know what we are doing there. Isn't that correct?
Yes, we have about 4, so you can see them driving down Lynn Lane. And then there's one sort of catty-cornered to Detroit right there. Detroit's the street that runs just north of, I'm directionally impaired, so sorry. Out at the high school, we have bid that project. The GMP goes to you guys tonight. Just a little recap of that project. We are going to add 11 classrooms and some additional common space that can double as eating area just there to the east of the gymnasium, and it will infill between VPA and Building B, and we'll be able to connect some more buildings.
So the area that's currently right outside of the gym, kind of where the concessions and all of that, can you kind of give us an idea of what, is that the yellow area right there?
To a point, here, let me get the mouse. Right here in this area, that's the existing building line, right there. So we're going to demolish all of the ramps, the retaining walls. They're all failing and falling away from the building. So we're going to demolish those and build back. We're going to maintain the lobby, which will include the restrooms and the concession stands, for until March. And then in March, we'll take over that space and we'll renovate it, and we'll actually close down the gym during that time frame. There'll be a lot of dust and debris, and when you get dust and stuff on a gym floor, it's not really safe to do much else in there.
So looking in, you'll be able to see where the yellow is, you'll be able to see into the gym from that area?
Yes, we are going to not completely, we're going to cut some of that CMU wall down, and we're going to do some large windows so you can actually see into the field house from the concession stand in the lobby area. We're going to renovate the restrooms, make them ADA compliant. We're going to renovate the concession stand and bring them up to current Tulsa health codes. And we're also going to give them a little meeting space out at the high school as well. Right now they utilize the varsity club. The varsity club holds about 125 people, and the high school needs a spot to hold about a meeting for about 40 to 50 people, and we'll be able to do that sort of in this blue area right there.
So this facility is under the Tulsa Building Code and not the Broken Arrow?
The health department is the Tulsa Health Department.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Yes.
And then the last thing I want to know is there has to be grade change. So kind of tell me how you're going to get from the main building into this space down that hallway.
We have quite a few grade changes. This main corridor, if you will, comes down here, and it changes grade slightly between the doors that go into the fine arts. That's something we can accommodate with leveling out the slab a little bit and just meeting existing grades. And then we meet up with the loading area where band kind of loads and unloads all of their instruments from their semi-truck. And then we come up to this second area right here with a small ramp, and then we come up again to the field house level. So we're talking about 3 different levels right there. And then we'll have a 4th level right here as you enter into the field house from the south side. We'll have to accommodate that much grade change, we'll have a ramp right here on the inside and a series of steps. But everything will be inside. Right now you have to go through a series of switchbacks, and it's all outside. We're going to greatly improve the access to the field house.
Then the last thing, I know the classroom sizes at the high school have been a challenge for us. Tell me a little bit about the sizes of these rooms and kind of what you're looking at there.
The average size of the room at the high school is about 750 to 800 square feet. These classrooms will be 940 square feet. If you guys accept it, we have an alternate to include additional millwork in these classrooms. So our normal classroom has 1 bank of millwork. These are going to be life science classrooms. They'll have 2 banks of millwork. They'll have water in all the classrooms, and instead of carpet, they'll have VCT or tile inside the classrooms as well, which is also something we do in science classrooms.
So you say life science, are you going to buy science equipment, science stuff? I mean, what What are you doing? How are you outfitting these rooms?
It'll be outfitted with tables, and we haven't really gotten to what sort of chair goes in there, and then the water, and then it has some active ventilation that they can turn on, and it helps with the fumes of dissections and all the formaldehyde. I don't know if they use
I heard that
formaldehyde.
stinks.
I bet it does. I don't deal well with that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else?
All right, well, were you going to proceed further with the rest of it, or, because I do have a question?
About the high school?
No,
Okay. Do you want to ask it now, or?
no, I'll wait till you get done.
Slow down, we can't hear you.
Out at Sequoia Middle School, all the blue is area we completed over the summer. It is about 40 to 45% of the existing square footage of Sequoia Middle School. So we were pretty happy with that. And then this is the new addition that we're doing on the back side. This is the tornado safe room, which will be completed in March. And it'll be our first safe room of the district. And then this will be the cafeteria and entry element into this back side of Sequoia. It's starting to take shape and look very, very similar to what the rendering looked like.
Okay, talk to me about tornado safe rooms. Why are we only doing one here? I mean, tell me a little bit about that. You said this is the first one we're going to have in the district.
First one we're going to have in the district. Tornado safe room is a legal definition that FEMA and International Building Code have guided us on. It provides near absolute protection in winds up to 250 miles an hour. Right now, the EF5 is at 250 miles an hour, so that's kind of where they govern us at.
So we'll have one at Sequoia and we'll have one at the new elementary.
Correct.
What about the other school sites?
We have Oklahoma. The state of Oklahoma has a department in their Capital Energy Crisis Management Center that comes and does evaluations of our schools. We are about 40% complete with that across our district. We also proactively, before they started this free of charge, we proactively went through and evaluated about 6 of our other schools. So we have a starting point, and it's very, very costly to build these. And right now there's no quick funding. To get FEMA funding, you have to have your plans ready, and you have to submit them to FEMA, and it can be they'll approve them anywhere between 2.5 to 3 years after they receive them.
So as we touch buildings and actually remodel, do those kinds of things, we're going to add as we go. And it may take us a long time to get there, but some of the buildings that we're not touching for the next few years, we're going to wait till we get there and then build the safe room at that point.
We're going to kind of go off the evaluation too.
Okay.
At the Freshman Academy, a safe room receives a score of 75. And at the Freshman Academy, we received a score of 95, which, as they were doing our study for the Freshman Academy, they said they had never seen a school receive such a high grade. So that really helped us there. And they actually said we could make it a hardened space of refuge by simple modifications. Average schools get a score of 150. So we're doing really well at the Freshman Academy. At the high school, we did the high school with our own funding and hired an engineer company to come in and study that one. And in their study, a FEMA safe room received a score of A++, and the high school received a score of A+. Those berms, although they are ugly, the way they were constructed, not necessarily that they were underground, but because the walls and the second floor slab are all concrete and all tied together, they received a really, really good score.
You know, I think it would be a good idea for us to come back to the board and explain all of this a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think that would be of interest, I know, to most of us, because we have schools that have safe rooms and schools that do not. And I think that's a good conversation to have so that our community knows kind of the steps we're taking and what we're doing.
Can the public use these?
No, the public cannot use them. They are
If
for.
somebody in that neighborhood, if there's a tornado coming, can't come to the school, then
They're not. The schools aren't unlocked, so it would be a liability if someone were to travel to the school and it's locked. It's a liability on the school side.
If you build a FEMA safe room, yes, but we're not building FEMA rooms, and that's the difference. It'd be almost impossible with 110,000 people in our community to build safe rooms every place. I mean, a lot of the smaller communities have built these FEMA safe rooms, but everybody in town can fit inside of it. And that's kind of our, has been our point, is that it's going to be very, very hard for us to build safe rooms for the entire community. You know, for students while they're there, yes, but for the entire community, it'll be virtually impossible. Okay, Sequoia.
Sequoia. This is a picture of the safe room. It is a giant concrete box, so it is really, really safe. This is a comparison. This is what the existing cafeteria looks like in the bottom left corner, and this is what the new cafeteria will look like when we're complete. And then I wanted to focus on the interior courtyards. At Sequoia, we will have 2 courtyards that we're doing. If you've noticed a pattern, Childers and Oneida Ridge and all of our middle schools are starting to get donations from their PTA to allow for students to come out and exercise, or get some fresh air, play basketball. So we've tried to set a bar for our PTAs to reach with Sequoia. We've done 2 interior courtyards, one for activities, and this area that kind of just looks like rock, that's what it is right now. We are going to install some turf in there. It's not the same turf that we install at our athletic fields, but it's more durable. It doesn't have those rubber pellets that track everywhere. And we're going to see how good it goes. It is actually the same turf we've used at Creekwood ECC, and they've seemed to have really good success with it. And then our second courtyard, which is the south courtyard, is our learning courtyard. These benches right here, actually you can take the lid off and they can become planter beds. We struggle doing interior courtyards with planter beds because as teachers move and curriculum changes and plants die, they end up just becoming an eyesore. So we've created these benches that when they utilize them, they can take the tops off and grow and do their experiments. And when they are ready to, turn them into seating, they can do that as well. And then we've also done an outdoor classroom. And at the high school, we did these with concrete benches, and it's not very pretty. So we've done turf on top of these. This also will be cooler when the students sit on them, and we've done some shades to protect the kids as they use these for between crossings as well. And then that's the end of my presentation.
Well, I had one question about the elementary school number 15. I assume via the report that we're a month ahead, so I was going to ask whether we would have it dried in before the winter months.
We used to complete our projects August 1st. We've upped our schedule to have them construction completed July 1st, which will allow us to do all the stuff we used to do while teachers were coming in beforehand. So our goal is to be done with construction July 1st and do all of our stuff like furniture, waxing the floors, deep clean, things like that before teachers come in August 1st. Where a month ahead of where we were at Aspen Creek and about 2.5 months of where we were at Highland Park. We're doing really, really good, and we started about the same time we did at both of those schools too. Our contractor has met all of their milestones, and they're still pushing to give us it just as quick as they can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item is Ms. Michelle Bergwall.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. Well, Mr. Tolomeo gave you a pretty good outline of the project at the high school. We are asking you to approve those bids tonight for that 11 classroom addition and renovation to the field house. Within those bids, we are asking you to reject bid packages 8F, overhead doors, and 27B, intercom and clocks. With the overhead doors, we had some discrepancies in the bid, and we're not comfortable that we have bids that meet spec. And same with the intercom and clocks. We had 2 bids, one at $200,000 and one at $30,000. So there's something going on with that spec there. So we are carrying an allowance for both of those items. Also, we received 2 roofing bids, but both of the bids were late, so we had to return those unopened. And so we are also carrying an allowance for roofing, and we are in the process of rebidding the roofing, so we'll come back to you for approval of those bids, hopefully under this same GMP number, since we are carrying an allowance for that. We're also asking that you approve the alternates for the additional millwork, tearing out and putting back the canopies. If you have been out to the high school lately, we've had some storm damage to the existing canopies. Those canopies are aging and need to come down, so we'd like to tear those out and put those back with fabric shade structures more similar to what you see at Sequoia that Bob just showed you in his report. Also, the stair treads at the field house. We find that the field house is a very busy place, and we're finally going to get to close it down and do some renovations, so we'd really like to do the stair treads while we're there, because I bet athletics isn't going to let us close that field house again once we give it back to them next November. They don't even like that we're trying to take it from them now, right, Melinda? And then refinishing the metal panels on the field house and the building signage around the campus. So we're asking you to approve those alternates. I think we have with us tonight Sarah with KKT, and I don't know if anybody from Flintco is here tonight. Right there, Brittany. That's right. Sorry, I saw her earlier. So they're here tonight as we approve those bids. They're ready to get started. They've even preemptively started putting up some fencing, so you'll see most of that go up over fall break. We'll get started just real soon if you approve these, and we'll be done in time for the State Student Council Convention next November.
Ms. Bergwall, I need, for clarification's sake, all of the changes that you mentioned fall within the stated maximum price. Is that correct?
Yes, the $7.8 million,
Okay,
and
I
it's
wanna make sure we're
designated.
clear.
Those items that I highlighted are designated in the bid tab, so you can approve it as the motion shows.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, make sure. Any other questions?
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to award construction contracts for the high school fieldhouse classroom addition project to the lowest responsible bidders, and to assign such construction contracts to Flintco Construction Solutions, Inc., and to approve the amendment to the construction management contract established a guaranteed maximum price in the amount of $7,847,229, and authorize the chief operating officer to approve the changes to the trade contracts within the GMP. All bidding was conducted pursuant to the Oklahoma Competitive Bidding Act. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item under instructional services is Ms. Shannon Turner.
Good evening, Dr. Mendenhall, President Kelly, and board members. As you can see, I'm not Shannon Turner, but since it is the gifted item, and I'm the gifted coordinator currently, she asked me to come up here and do this one for you. So, let me turn to it. We are to, as a district, reestablish our local advisory committee. They had this for years past, and for several years, the state did not require us to have a local advisory committee for the gifted program, but now they have reinstated that. And so tonight we are making this is number 64, discussion, motion, and vote to approve or disapprove the Gifted and Talented Advisory Committee names and committee as turned in.
Is there any discussion? I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the Gifted and Talented Advisory Committee as recommended by Dr. Mendenhall. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The next item is Mr. Mark Officer.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. I'm back to you this evening because I didn't follow through well on 3140 the first time. I neglected to put in for the physical science requirement that was added this school year. I neglected to state that begins with the graduating class of 2019. So we had some parents and counselors who were alarmed because they were afraid we had lots of catch up to do with this year's seniors. So wanted to put that in the policy just to make it clear to parents that that's where we stood.
Thank you. Are there any questions, further questions? If not, I would
Recommend approval.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the proposed revision update to the board policy 3140, promotion and graduation requirements through instruction. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, under Technology Services, Mr. Brian Daly.
Good evening. I'm asking the board tonight to approve a new agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Select Spectrum, LLC, at no cost to the district. The district owns an educational broadband service frequency from the FCC. We have leased it out to another party the last 15 years. It is up for release. So what we are wanting to do is take this to auction and see if we get any bids that would be of best interest to the district. And once those bids are received, if it's something that we would like to accept long term, the bids that come in will most likely be a 30-year type lease deal. We would bring that back to the board for the board to approve those terms. It's more than likely it will be sought out at auction. This current service or frequency reaches about 900,000 people in a 35-mile radius. So we're looking to get bids from higher tier wireless providers such as Sprint and maybe some of the mid to lower term tier wireless providers as well. So again, this is to ask the board permission to actually take this to auction, and there's no cost involved.
Okay. Any discussion or questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the new agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Select Spectrum, LLC. And again, there is no cost to the district. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks.
The next item under Business Services, Ms. Natalie Ena.
Good evening. We are into the month of September, and you can see we have started receiving our state aid allocation. Our initial allocation for this year is $46.9 million. October 1 has come and gone, so that will be what our midterm adjustment is based on in January. So we will see how that goes. You know, overall, the state is predicting lower revenue collections than in the past, so we'll just have to see what they do in terms of midterm collections for the district, if they decide to adjust any of the factors or hold them stable, or how that works out for us. You can really see the decline in state sources of revenue from the loss of not receiving textbook allocations or ACE remediation. Last year, the district received about $850,000 in textbook funds. We did receive $21,000 in professional development funds late from part of the excess state surplus. So we did receive that allocation. So that will be utilized for district professional development. Federal sources are up just a little bit due to some of the timing of collections from this year to last year. Building fund revenue, really all we've received so far is previous year ad valorem taxes, and we are operating off our previous year ending fund balance until we receive our big ad valorem payment in January. Child nutrition, our local and federal sources of revenue are really up. Last year we had some lag in some of the federal claims, so that's why that number looks a little disproportionate, but we are doing very well in our child nutrition fund, and participation is very well. We had great success with our summer feeding program, collected about $100,000 from Ms. Goodacre's efforts with the food truck. General fund expenditures, the salaries and benefits line item, which is the largest area of expenditures in this fund, are down. You can see the results of some of the cuts that were approved at the end of last spring, as well as the effect of not releasing the return to work stipend. Building fund, pretty much everything is on track. We are seeing a little bit more of expenditures in payroll in this fund because we have shifted some of our custodial salaries to building fund to try and offset some of the burden in general fund. And in child nutrition, again, payroll expenses are down, and they have pre-bought some more food and supplies and expenses. That's why this category is a little bit higher than where we were last year. And our ending fund balance for fiscal year 2016, we did receive the state surplus. That was returned to us a couple weeks ago of $667,000 approximately, so we ended at about $13.2 million.
Were we expecting that to be originally at about 14, but then because of the cuts, it lowered that amount, correct?
Right. We predicted, we were estimating the surplus to be a little bit higher, but the state decided to withhold some of that money for other activities, such as the professional development money, and they just decided to withhold a little bit more at the State Department for, I think they're a little bit nervous about where revenue collections are coming in, but we were grateful for what we got.
There's an article out today, and it doesn't look like there's any hope on the horizon as far as collections go, because it indicated we're probably due for another rough year. So they'll probably set some more of that money.
Any other comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item is Donna Dollahan.
Good evening. I'm here to give the treasurer's reports for the end of September. Our cash balances reports show a total of $33,109,000 in assets for the district. Included in this figure are investments that total $20,690,000. Our fund security and deposit report shows a total of $43,057,000 in collateral that is pledged to the schools. Our deposits that require collateral totaled $29,050,000, leaving an available balance of collateral in the amount of $14,007,000.
Any discussion or questions? Thank you.
I'll go on to the activity funds. Receipts at the end of September total $2,101,000. Disbursements total $990,000, leaving a balance in the activity funds of $3,441,000.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
My next item is to ask your approval to move our athletic activity fund bank account from Bank of Oklahoma to First National Bank of Broken Arrow. There have been some procedural issues, and we believe that this will be a good move for our athletic activity fund.
Okay. If there's no discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the proposal to move the athletic activity fund from Bank of Oklahoma to First National Bank of Broken Arrow. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item, Ms. Kathy Metavallis.
Good evening. My first item tonight is the change order report. Before you show change orders reflecting a decrease of $40,766.80, and I would recommend approval of those change orders.
Okay. If there are no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the change order reports for all funds for the 2016-17 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
Next item is the encumbrance report for all funds. For your approval tonight are encumbrance orders totaling $1,346,869.80.
There's no discussion. I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the encumbrance reports for all funds for the 2016-17 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Dwayne Thompson.
Okay, as the board last month approved the estimate of needs, now it's time to utilize that information to approve the operating budget for this fiscal year. So I'll quickly run through that with you, and you have that information in there in your packet. Basically, we're looking at for 16-17 estimated revenue of $110,483,000. One of the key ingredients to that is, as Natalie was mentioning, is the amount that we are anticipating from the state aid. So that overall percentage, where it was last year of actuals of 42% of our budget was state aid, this year it should be closer to 40. That doesn't mean a 2% cut of state aid. What that means is 2% of the entire budget. So obviously that's a much larger chunk. And so we're relying more heavily on other sources, and as you well know, we've made other cuts. So you can see that there. So we're anticipating in the general fund a little over $110 million. You can see the percentage of the actual revenue sources from 16 to 17 and so forth. As I mentioned, the largest change being the state aid. Then we get to the expenditure portion. We're looking at a proposed budget of $112 million for the general fund. Now, obviously, we will not spend all those resources. We'll have budget left over, as we always do, but that's our estimated proposed budget for this year. If you look at the comparison, and I just want to take a brief moment at the graph for actual expenditure 15-16, and then the expense estimated for 16-17. One of the things, as you're well aware, there's always legislation about 65% of the budget needs to be spent on instruction, and implying that 35% of the budget is spent on administrative costs. And so these graphs clearly show where the expenditures are made, and based on the coding system that we utilize in the state, you can only code an expenditure that's directly related to a classroom to instruction. But there, as we all know, there's many other services that are provided that support the classroom. So just briefly, if we just use like 16-17 on the expenditures, and we quickly go through there, you will see that the instruction portion is 60% of the budget, as opposed to what we actually spent last year, 59. So as we made cuts, the instruction portion didn't cut as much, so the percentage of the overall budget was there. Then the next item next to it is support services of students, which is 7% of the budget, which would be like counselors, those type services. Then support services for instructional staff. So those are the individuals like our instructional facilitators, those individuals that support the classroom are in there. And then you can see the general administration is 3%. So as you move around there, and I always, you go all the way to student transportation. Obviously, they're not transporting me to work. So those are things that support the instructional is far more than 65%. It's not hard to see that. But that's one of the things you always hear in the legislative session about the 65% rule. And if you look at all the expenses that go to in the classroom and support the classroom, we're well above the 65%. So then we move on to the building fund, and be very brief on this, but we've proposed the revenue budget for 16-17 of $4.5 million. When you look at that, the majority of this, 94% is current ad valorem. The rest of it is other minor sources. The next one being the FBA for those individuals that are paid out of the building fund. And so for 16-17, again, we're looking at $4.5 million in revenue, and we've got a proposed budget of expenditures of $5.2 million. Again, there's expenses that, obviously when you budget, you're not going to spend all the entire amount, but that gives us the cap of what we're to spend. And I should have mentioned the building fund, in the general fund, with the budget that we're proposing, we're still going to have what we anticipate to be a flat or slightly gaining fund balance. That will obviously depend on whether or not we're going to face cuts mid-year. But we've already anticipated where our student counts are going to be and the estimated revenue off of that. So we're already prepared for what will potentially come for midterm adjustment. And then our expenditures by object. So we're anticipating the $5.2 million, as I mentioned. The largest is the supplies and materials and property purchases and services, which are basically the maintenance portion of repairing our facilities, buying rooftop units, all those type items that you see there. But we do spend right now, we're spending right over $1 million on salaries out of the building fund. So that's going to be maintenance workers, custodial, so forth and so on. Not too long ago, the legislative body gave us freedom to spend more resources, open up the areas that you can spend money on out of the building fund. And so a lot of schools in the area will have, because the building fund may be a little bit larger, have a lot more salaries out of that category. So we have what we can afford out of there, which gives us more freedom in the building fund, the general fund. And then the last one we have is on the child nutrition. We're estimating the revenue be right at $9 million, And so the actual revenue, so most of it comes from local sources, but the vast majority of it, because of our free and reduced percentage as a district, most of the revenue that we receive comes from federal sources as a reimbursement of the, let me get to that slide, as a reimbursement of the meals. So you can see here we have almost 48% of our child nutrition budget coming from the federal government as a reimbursement of the meal. Now, a portion of that does come from the state, but as it flows together, they identify that amount and this entire fund as a federal program. So regardless of how much money we receive locally, they see the entire amount as a federal program and have requirements on the expenditures as such. We find the child nutrition budget at just over, proposed at just over $10 million. And one of the things that she's done over the last few years is to assist with capital outlay at various campuses. She's done that at the high school, elementary 15, and we anticipate at Sequoia as well. And so as we progress, there's things that she's able to pay for and utilize that in the child nutrition area and assist us with that construction cost. As we well know, she is very, the program is self-supporting and has had in the past a fund balance. She's limited to three months operating, and she's been at that cap, and so she's able to do those non-reoccurring items to be able to assist, but also to keep her from going over that 3-month limit. You can see for the most part, and you've seen this on every monthly report, but food procurement and preparation are our two largest expenditures out of child nutrition, and so that would continue on into this year. So, and then there in the back of your budget is the information about the different codes and what they mean. So if you had specific questions about what's included in the item, you could look that up. So once again, we have the three main appropriated funds of the general fund, building fund, and child nutrition for your consideration of the operating budget.
Mr. Thompson, I want to thank you certainly for providing this information. It's quite clear that we have a very able staff that puts together these reports and certainly understands them. I would also like to say that I'm under the understanding this particular report is online as well. So if we had a member of our public that wanted to check it out,
Sure.
they wouldn't have to necessarily request a hard copy. They could go check it out online. Is that
Yes,
correct?
everything, pretty much everything we have on the financial end is online. If you want to see our monthly payments that are accounts payable, you can go online and see those. Credit card bills, the CAFR, everything we do, almost everything we do on the business side is on our website.
Okay. Other questions or comments? I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the 2016-17 operating budget as presented. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is new business. Seeing that we do not have any new business, we'll move to the next item, which is the executive session.
Make a motion to move to executive session.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve moving into executive session pursuant to Oklahoma Statute Title 25, Section 307B1 and 7 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act to discuss the contract of the superintendent. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
You guys have a good evening.
I didn't.